Trunks and is fighting out of Los Angeles, California. He weighed in at 156 pounds. His record includes 36 wins, 2 losses, with 19 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome tonight's challenger and the former WBO junior middleweight and WBA middleweight champion of the world, now ranked #1 middleweight contender by the IBF, presenting John David Jackson. And ladies and gentlemen, his opponent across the ring is the defending champion, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black trunks and hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He weighed in at a ready 156 1/2 pounds. He enters the ring with a record of 30 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw, 23 wins coming by way of knockout. Tonight, making his 4th defense of his title, please welcome the IBF middleweight champion of the world, Bernard the Executioner Hopkins.
John Davis, it's through the ring.
Okay, guys, come on.
John Davis.
Guys, get out of here.
Gentlemen, tonight we're fighting for the IBF middleweight championship of the world. I want a clean fight. No monkey shine, no monkey business. The rules are no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. There is a mandatory 8 count. I want you to protect yourself at all times. I want you to obey my commands at all times. Touch gloves and come out and sound the bell. Here we go.
Johnny Femi of New Orleans, Louisiana. Final instructions. They're checking out the waist lines. IBF middleweight champ Bernard Hopkins inactive 273 days, or about 9 months, due to promotional problems. He left Butch Lewis for Dan Goosen and America Presents, so he feels better about everything from the category just in case. 5-0 with 5 knockouts against southpaws. Jackson, the #1 contender, despite losing his last fight, which he calls a blessing in disguise, because he now says Hopkins thinks he's slipping, perhaps false confidence for Hopkins. And a very interested spectator, the WBA middleweight champion in the crowd, William Joppy, very aggressive fighter out of Rockville, Maryland, in need of a big-name opponent, but tough to find at 160. He has to unify the title, perhaps. He's a future opponent here. Here we go. Round 1, scheduled for 12 for the IBF middleweight championship. Bernard Hopkins, the champion, in the black trunks with the gold trim. John David Jackson in the all-gold trunks, the challenger.
You know, both of these fighters were so light at the weigh-in that they're just about junior, middle, or super welter, call it what you like. That's 154. Just a couple of pounds over that. They could be in any division.
That's a lot of aggression just then. That last little rhubarb there was kind of a gutter kind of fighting.
Jackson almost slipped after that wild punch. I've noticed that Hopkins has difficulty with opponents that move around a lot. Jackson likes to frustrate opponents with lots of movement, historically. Meanwhile, Jackson has trouble with busy fighters, and Hopkins told us the key tonight is pressure. So we've got some interesting ingredients going into this one.
Well, right now, I think it's a cat and mouse game. It's a serious chess match going on. They know each other from a long time ago, haven't sparred with each other for a lot of years, a lot of changes probably made, and they both still think they know one another, but 2 different fighters.
Jackson has a very wide stance. Bobby, take a look at how wide it is between those 2.
Yeah, he likes to rock and roll, in and out, back and forth, move out of the way. Not a big puncher, crisp, sharp counter puncher, likes to be fast.
There was quite a bit of trash talking between these 2 guys in the days leading up to this fight. Jackson saying the key is everything off the jab. Work the right hook, use the angles. He said he won't run. He said if he can get past the first 4 rounds, this is Jackson, that is important. That's when Hopkins is most dangerous.
Too much respect being shown by both guys. Both guys doing a lot of thinking and no throwing. First boos heard from the crowd.
Hopkins said this will be a technical fight, a chess match, if you will.
Well, it better be better than this, because they're not touching each other.
They literally look like they don't want to let the glove touch either way.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're in there mixing it up.
Finally, a little contact there. The crowd is booing, obviously, in the background, getting on these two fighters. They want more action.
Have you ever seen a fight where everything's color coordinated, including the gloves? Both guys got yellow and black gloves, and they got yellow and black trunks on.
Yes, this main event dedicated, as I mentioned, to Mr. Blackwell.
Mr. Blackwell's in evidence here. Certainly nothing else is in evidence. There you go.
Now, right now, John David Jackson has landed a few more shots. Nothing really significant, but I think maybe a total of 5 blows have been landed, and he's maybe got 4 of them.
Well, Hopkins said to us, hey, if he wants to make it a cat and mouse game, I can box. I don't look for him to slug it out. I'm not going to look for one big shot. He is too elusive. Talking about the man in gold, John David Jackson, a part-time model and actor.
Well, a fight distinguished by lack of action.
Waiting a little too long. Waiting a little too long. Throw down. Look your tongue out there for me. Throw down. We can put a little pressure on him. Go back and wait for him, okay? Pick it up a little bit this round. All right, baby? Everything's cool. That's good. Everything's cool. Give me that's enough. That's enough. Everything's cool. Everything's cool. A little too tight. A little too tight. We can go to him. Take it to him with the stutter jab, okay?
You're going to see what he's going to do. Don't let him be a thinking too long. Keep that jab on him. He can keep the jab at it. And double and triple jab up on him. You're going to might try to counter punch off of you. So double and triple jab up. Then come the left hand behind. Okay, buddy?
Bernard Hopkins told us yesterday, and I talked about the trash talking, that John David Jackson can stink the place out. And then John David Jackson came back saying he's not as good as Jorge Castro. He's not as tough as Castro. He's not a worthy champion. Talking about Hopkins, does nothing well. He said, we were friends until he started ducking me. So things getting very personal between these two. Let's see if the action heats up.
I was going to say, would that they could transfer that into the ring and translate it into action.
When you really think about it, fellas, how could a fight not be personal?
No holding in.
How could a fight not be personal to a certain degree? Sure, it's business, but God, it's got to be personal.
It's like those executioners that say, this is nothing personal, but I'm taking your life. I think it's personal.
Isn't a rule of thumb not to fight angry? Doesn't that take you out of your game plan? Tyson, a guy who professes
controlled anger is okay, but it has to be controlled. Okay. If you fight angry and you let the anger get the better of you, could take you out of your game plan. You could, you know, throw all your punches in an array of different ways that are not good.
Light him up. Light him up.
Trying to take a man's head off.
Break!
What a bark that was from John Fimia. He barked out the break. I think he scared both fighters.
1 minute gone by in round 2. Round 1 totally uneventful. Holding and hitting here by John David Jackson, actually lifting Hopkins off the canvas with those uppercuts.
Hopkins was told in the corner, step it up, start working.
Work your way out. Get some hands free.
Now it's a clinch festival.
Stop punching, stop punching.
Yeah.
Stop punching.
And the fans continue to voice their displeasure here in Shreveport. Hopkins telling us he's going to fight as if he's the challenger, not the champion, but somebody has to take the initiative here.
The referee's got to take control of this fight. This is going to turn into a real wrestling match. There's going to be elbows, shoulders, and heads on the inside. He's got to take control.
Wild swing and a miss. Overhand right attempt there by Bernard Hopkins.
Hopkins very cool when we asked him yesterday, was he used to left-handers? He said, I knocked every one of them out.
Yeah, he said he was 5-0 with 5 knockouts against lefties, including his last fight of '96 against Joe the Hammer Lipsy in the 4th round.
That was an impressive knockout, too. Lipsy, strong puncher with both hands, came to fight and was winning early, but then got caught. And when he got caught, the Executioner did finish him off.
Jackson said he trained 12 weeks for this fight. Hopkins told us he's in great condition, trained up at Big Bear, altitude about 7,000 feet. He said he not only wants to win, but do it convincingly. But so far, we are not seeing that. Probably where he dropped all that weight up there. He's only about 156, both coming in under the 160 limit.
This fight, they've done nothing but grab each other and fight very little. I find this very hard to judge. The first one I thought Hopkins, Jackson had punched more. I don't know where to go here except even.
Well, in one of the more compelling fights of 1994, John David Jackson battled Argentinian Jorge Castro. We mentioned it before, Ferdy, in Monterrey, Mexico, in a nonstop, furious affair. Jackson had the upper hand for 8 rounds. When in round 9, Jackson, after unleashing a wicked combination, watch what happens here. Castro will miss with the right and then land cleanly with a winging left hook. Boom. Right to the head. Jackson walked right into it.
And he bounced his head off. Watch how he bounced his head off the canvas. Both, you see?
That's like getting hit twice.
And that is like getting hit with a baseball bat after he went down.
And some ringside observers thought it could have been stopped earlier in Jackson's favor.
We were in those.
Including us.
Yes.
Including us. We were screaming, what do you want to do? Kill this guy? And all of a sudden he comes up with a punch.
Well, he's 3-1 since the dramatic loss, Ferdy, with that 10-round decision over James Green, Guy Stanford, and Augustine Renteria, and the split decision loss to Abdul Ramadan.
Well, Hopkins better get his game plan going if he has got a game plan, because so far he's shown nothing. Nothing except they grab each other.
Round 3 for the IBF middleweight championship. Not much has happened. Look out! Jackson actually caught Hopkins on his way down.
Yeah.
Big smile on the face of Hopkins.
Yeah, it was nice. He could have let him drop.
Looking more like WWF.
I'll tell you what, yeah.
Hopkins still with a big smile. Hopkins now going in on the attack. Saw a little opening there, but couldn't take advantage.
You know, John David Jackson's legs just came out from under him. I don't really think he was that hurt, but he just went back and his knees buckled, and he just couldn't seem to get his balance. I really don't think he was hurt.
I don't think he was hurt at all.
I'm not even sure he was hit.
On the other hand, I wonder what's wrong with his legs. Look, he did it again. See, his leg slipped it under him again.
Stop punching. Stop punching, guys. Back up, back up. When I say break, take a step back.
This may be one of those old punch and grab kind of fights. There it is. I mean, ever since he gets in close, it's punch and grab.
Back up.
John David Jackson, a natural lefty who calls himself ambidextrous. He can switch.
There you go, John.
He did that against Castro early on. He feels that his power is in his right hand, although he's a southpaw.
See, the referee's got to take charge. He's got to break this up.
Look at this, huh?
He cannot allow this to continue.
No, he said to him, John, let him go, let him go. He must get between them.
Johnny Femia finally splitting them apart. Now this has basically been a dance-a-thon here and a clinch fest.
Yeah, clutch-a-thon.
Yes. Little arrogant smile on the face of Bernard Hopkins.
I don't understand why.
You know, right now, Hopkins is landing a little bit more effectively with the right hand, but as soon as he gets close enough, Jackson ties him up.
They're both holding.
Hopkins, normally an adaptable type fighter, likes to go to the body, an in-fighter. He's got an attitude. Has difficulty, as mentioned, with guys who move around a lot, and that certainly is the style of Jackson.
But Jackson has the kind of style. He doesn't mind boring you to death. If he thinks that's what's going to get the job done, he will do that.
He doesn't go in looking for the knockout. A boxer technician, very slow to attack, defensive. Tries to put his combinations together and frustrate his opponents.
Well, what he has to do is he has to do the best with what he has. He's not a big banger. He's not a big, strong one-punch knockout artist. If he can move, confuse you with his southpaw style as well as his speed and unusual angles, that's what he's supposed to do.
Two or three times, the referee has said, stop holding. Now he's pointing at Jackson and really saying it because he's the one that's doing the holding. See, as soon as he gets in, he grabs him.
Now, Jackson does have that awkward jab, sometimes leaves himself open after the jab. We'll see if Hopkins can take advantage later.
He's double up, going to the body. He's double up, going to the body. Look your tongue out for me. Double up, going to the body, baby. Follow me in the water, son. Go ahead.
You know that. I know. Both of y'all are holding, all right? Lay off the holding, all right?
Where you hit up? Where you hit up?
Let's take a look at that awkward lift that reminded us of a wrestling circles. You know, here, Jackson could have let him drop, and see right there, let him drop? No, he held him. So it's kind of nice, gentlemanly thing to do.
That was a lovely dip.
It was. It was kind of an orchestrated dance there. You know what it is. It's getting sickening here because there's no fight. By the way, I'd be remiss before the action starts if we don't wish, I know you did, we want to wish Jimmy Lennon to get well. I'm kind of mad at him because he didn't call me for a house call. I'd have gone all the way to California to see him.
Your bedside manner alone would have been...
All he had to do was call me. Jimmy's a friend.